Who do you got with the first pick here?
Is it Superflex?
Yes. Oh, sorry, I put SuperSeth.
Well, I do feel like I'm SuperSeth.
Yeah.
This is the most super of all the Seths. I think this is pretty clear in a way. Caleb Williams for me.
Boom.
So I mean, we could talk about it all, and I have talked about it ad nauseum. I can't remember the last time a number 1 overall pick is going to enter a situation like Caleb Williams is going to enter here. You know, with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Volkamed, solid tight end, and they signed Gerald Everett and DeAndre Swift. I mean, in the offense, and they had the number 9 overall pick too, where they could draft another wide receiver or a tackle or whatever they want to do. And they have more cap space. It's just insane how well Ryan Poles has managed this whole situation. And as a Bears fan, I don't think I've ever been as excited. I know we're sitting here on April 1st, on April Fool's Day, but I have not been more excited for a Bears season than the season and the seasons coming up with this team that Ryan Poles has put together. It's unbelievable, man. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of what you were alluding to with Justin Fields and how his situation was. So, for me, I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. with the second pick. Really love the talent of the player, and didn't get to see him in some of the extra NFL prospecting cycles of the combine or the pro day. We did get to see him at the pro day last year. We've seen him on tape. He looks good, and the difference between him and some of the big prospects of the past, the number 1 prospects of like a JSN and Jamar Chase, those guys both missed some of their final season. Harrison's been playing. This guy's been playing the whole time and has been reliable for the team and has put up some really good numbers. So I like what he can do. I'm buying into the lineage and some of the hype by taking him over the quarterbacks. I actually do like these quarterbacks. It's not that. It's just I really like Marvin Harrison Jr. So I'm going to go ahead and take him and lock that pick in a deep wide receiver class. Still just going to go with the talent. So who do you got here with the third pick?
I'm going to go Malik Neighbors. I just think he's a special. I think all 3 of these wide receivers up at the top of this rookie draft are special. I don't think there has to be a bust. I don't think there will be a bust. I mean, situation's going to be important. Like if the Giants hopefully not draft one of these guys, it's not going to be great, but I still believe in the talent of all 3 of these guys. And Malik Neighbors, when you watch him play, he's a lot more of and I don't mean this in a bad way, but he's more of a bully, raw player, like just gets the ball and just runs with it with like ferocity. Like he's unbelievable. Malik Neighbors is an unbelievable prospect, and I think a fairly safe dynasty asset going forward.
Well, I'm going to take a risk on Jaden Daniels just for the rushing upside. With Anthony Richardson last year, he was going 101 in some places, and he might get drafted. Jaden Daniels maybe number 2, number 2, whereas Richardson was 104, and Richardson's just a huge guy, tested crazy, but still Jaden Daniels. I love rushing quarterbacks, and there's like an evolution of the rushing quarterback. Jaden Daniels is not the final form, but we're going to get one of these guys. And I really like just the direction that the NFL is headed overall and just accepting these rushing quarterbacks, building the offenses around him. If he goes to Washington, this is a team that's primed to build a team around him. If it's New England, they at least have a new coach. There's some hope for a different direction. So I'm fine taking the shot on Jaden Daniels, just knowing that year 1, he's going to score points, and probably for the next couple of years, as long as he's got some weapons to throw the ball to. So let's keep flying through this thing. Who do you got at the 105? You going quarterback or wide receiver?
I'm actually going to go wide receiver. I have Rome Odunze at 5 in my rankings. Or hold on, I might have lied there. Actually, no, I have him at 4 in my rankings.
Okay.
So I have it Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, Malik, and Rome Odunze, because in my opinion, like wide receiver, these wide receivers are special. And like I said,
this is why I got you on the show. I love this.
These quarterbacks, and I'm not saying my comp for Drake May, who's still on the board, and I really don't mean any disrespect, because I think Daniel Jones can be a solid quarterback in this league. He's just like, if you think about it, and you're laughing, but Daniel Jones has not been well supported either. I mean, that Brian Dable came over, they won a playoff game, but then it was right back this year to, not so great. Drake May, some people have compared him to Josh Allen, and I watched Josh Allen play live. I went to if anybody knows me, I'm a huge Iowa Hawkeyes fan. I was born and raised about an hour and a half from Iowa City, and Josh Allen, as many people know, played for the University of Wyoming, and Iowa always has a good defense with good defensive linemen, good linebackers. And when I tell you that Josh Allen was making the Iowa Hawkeye defense look like a bunch of boys out there, I watched a play where he rolled out to, it was very Mahomes-like. Rolled out to his left, came back to his right, was shrugging off defensive linemen, linebackers. Nobody was open, throwing off his back foot 50 yards down the field. Me and my buddy Drew, who went to the game with me, we just looked at each other and went, if this guy can ever figure out how to throw a slant pass, he's going to be unbelievable. Like, he's just physically incredible. I don't see that with Drake. I don't see that with Drake May, and that's no disrespect. I think he's a better processor than somebody like Jaden Daniels. He's more of your traditional quarterback, which makes me think that he's going to get drafted ahead of Jaden Daniels. We'll see. It only takes one team to fall in love with Jaden Daniels, but he's still got a lot of work to do for me. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, he has been getting that Josh Allen comp, so it's pretty tough. But that'll save me some time on breaking down my pick here, because I am gonna take Drake May. Yeah. Just super flex. I still like the potential for some rushing, so it's like I have him like immediately already over a Stafford type. Regardless of the age, just that type of player. I at least think he's got some ability to move. If his game's not going to be predicated on that, and I've seen at least some good throws. So if he goes to the Washington team, I'm feeling pretty good about him. If he goes to New England, it's just a tough spot for anyone. Maybe the Vikings is a landing spot. If he goes to a good landing spot like that, then I'm definitely moving him up, probably ahead of Daniels, even though it's risky, because for me, I'm a guy who's still taking Justin Herbert over Anthony Richardson. But that's more because I know what Herbert is, and it's not even a fair comparison, but more so there's some things that kind of concern me with long-term with the Jaden Daniels. So, I do like still what Drake May's got to offer, and it's more just give him a good landing spot. Maybe it'll take a year for things to shape up. So is it a fair guess who you're going to take the next spot? We didn't base this one on a real draft that happened, so it's really just based on the player talent that you believe in here at the 107.
Yeah, give me Brock Bowers. I think it's pretty set for me. He's within my top 7. I actually have him, I believe, at number 7. All right, right behind Drake May. Sandwiched in between. Actually, no, I'm bad at counting tonight. Some basic math would be, I have him right behind Drake May at pick number 6, and then I have Daniels at 7. So yeah, that's Bowers is a great tight end prospect. I don't know if he's the best tight end prospect I've ever seen, but he's really, really good. And like we broke down some of the potential landing spots. To me, there's a lot more intriguing ones than ones that make scary off. I think Indianapolis, I don't know if they trade up for him, but that would be amazing. They might be a little bit too far down the draft board, but even if the Jets, who are rumored to be wanting to trade out of that pick, if they decided, Tyler, we need an upgrade from Tyler Conklin with Aaron Rodgers in year 1. Brock Bowers, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, who they brought over. It's pretty damn good. Breece Hall in the backfield. Yeah, pretty good offense there all of a sudden. So yeah. Anyway,
I like the pick. I think he can make a good blocker for the Jets, but we'll see where he ultimately ends up landing. I'm gonna go with JJ McCarthy because the buzz is just way hotter on him than pretty much any player. It feels like McCarthy is not the wild card, but more like this is the guy where it can kind of set the movement for the draft. And there's always some really crazy upsets, but this guy won the national championship. NFL really values that. The team in general is projected to potentially break the amount of players in the NFL draft from one team. So all eyes are on them. Their coach is in the NFL. So it's just so many things that are pointing to, this is a winner, and teams value that. There's guys that were much worse than I think McCarthy is, who have been drafted higher. So just going for the upside. Could be a big faller if he doesn't go. But right now, I do weigh my rankings a lot on where I think some of these guys are going to land. draft capital wise. So I'm going to take McCarthy here. And I feel like this leaves a lot of question for who you're going to take next. There's a lot of receivers. And again, this is not based on any mock, so it's hard to know where the next quarterback's going to go. I think Bo Nix is the most buzz for the first round after McCarthy. So this is wide open. Where do you want to go here?
I think I got to go Brian Thomas Jr. I think he's going to be a for sure top 20 pick in the NFL draft. I do have Mike. I think he's still pretty raw. I think he beat a lot of people deep. You look at, I think he had 17 touchdowns, and a lot of those came on those deep routes where he's just burning people down the field. So again, I think he's got some developing to do, but I think his draft capital, he's pretty insulated. And I'm also kind of playing this game with you to see, like, I have a feeling I know who you're going to take, but I could be wrong. I'm kind of playing that game because I actually have a receiver ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. in my rankings, and I'll talk about that guy when he comes off the board. But
I'm going to take him right now.
Oh, that's actually not him. That's actually not the guy.
All right, well, I'm going to stick with my Longhorns here. I'm going to go Xavier Worthy, and the biggest red flag is he's fast because all the fast players are awful when it comes to
that is such. I'm glad you brought that up. That is the laziest take out there. And we actually broke down a few clips, Matt Babbage and I, on the Dynasty Roundtable, where actually this guy can actually run routes pretty well. And we're pretty close, as I said before, with Alex Dunlap, Cody Carpentier, who both work for the Texas Longhorns. Well, not with them, but they cover them for the Orange Bloods website. And Alex Dunlap said on the Mind of Mansion show, and I was kind of surprised at how confident he was. He said, I'm pretty confident that Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell are my 4 and 5 wide receivers in this class, pushing Brian Thomas Jr. to the side, which caused my eyebrows to go up to the top of my head. So, but when people like Alex and Cody start talking about these prospects, you'd be foolish not to listen to those guys because they dive deep into it, man. And every time I talk to Cody about it, I leave with, just an interesting perspective, and he'll surprise you sometimes too. So those are two guys you got to be tapped into.
I've got to be, as a content creator, it is tough to do whatever I'm doing behind the scenes and still continue to watch the tape. I'm exhausted. So I don't know how you do it, guys. Seth is all over the place. He is covering all the players, maintaining all these shows, and still has to research everything. It is crazy, but that's why you love the game. So it's not work. It's not work. But man, I don't know how those guys do it, and to see them traveling for the Senior Bowl and XYZ, and man, I'm just much respect to everybody who's out here grinding. I love it. So yeah, I've got a lot of research to do. Going to check these guys out. So I didn't snipe you. Who are you going to take? Are you gonna just keep playing that game and see how far they fall?
No. I gotta take the other Longhorns receiver, Adonai Mitchell. This is a guy. The more I dig into the tape, he had a really good combine too. But the tape, and shout out to the guy. It's like if if you're in the fantasy football space, it's like pulling teeth to find all 22 tape. And the big dog's got to eat. Nick Ercolano has some all 22 tape of Adonai Mitchell. And he's a big outside receiver who has the feet of a smaller receiver, and he is just able to get separation in a way that it looks too easy on tape. And is he the perfect prospect? No, but man, he reminds me so much of like T. Higgins with Stephon Diggs' feet. It's like crazy. He's really good, guys. And if you have like some of these later picks, if you get a Brian Thomas Jr., a Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, people realize these would be wide receivers that would be in like the top 6 in if we didn't have a Dunze, Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, this is just kind of the draft class that we have, and it's crazy good. And Adonai Mitchell is really good. He's actually my wide receiver 4 in this class. But I thought maybe I could get Brian Thomas, and I had a feeling
you pulled it off.
So I was able to do it. And now we're on the clock with the 112.
Yeah, and luckily in that roundtable league that you showed me, you don't have to worry about it because you got 10, 11, 12. Yep. So no one's going to snipe you.
You're going to get some good wide receivers there. I can almost promise you if I hang on to one of those picks, Adonai Mitchell's going to be one of those picks. But
all right, so I'm going to read you from early, and I'm taking Ladd McConkey here.
That is a great pick.
I have not taken Lad in the first round yet in a single mock draft ever until right now because I cannot trust you to not to leave him there for me.
Yeah.
So, man, so Brock Bowers was the main attraction for Georgia, but Lad McConkey, he absolutely showed that he belongs. And I respect the guys that are involved in a lot of the process, and really showed some really good sure hands, great route running ability, and I don't have a comp for him, but he definitely seems like a really good receiver that is going to end up being in our lineups, because a lot of times you worry about when do these guys get into the lineup, and I think some of these teams might be able to use him from day one as just a go-to guy that a quarterback can trust. And absolutely just like what the buzz is around him as well for potential draft capital. I'm not believing any of the first round stuff, but there has been some first round buzz. I definitely see him being no later than round 2 of the NFL draft, and I will definitely take that out of him. The guy that I had before, I won't mention, but I just feel a little bit more comfortable with Lad than whoever I was going to take at this next pick. But
yeah,
in the first round,
that is. I mean, he's such an insulated. If you think about it, like he's such a well insulated player because he's going no later than mid second round, and he's probably going. I'm not like you'd be shocked. I think he's going to be one of the first picks on day 2. I really do. Like if he doesn't sneak up into that first round, he's not going to last long in day 2.
I'm tapped into the Carolina Panthers. One of the reasons I'm doing any of the stuff I'm doing is partly because of some of the content creators over there, Unk 2020 and some of these guys, and they have been on Lad since January or even before then. And they have the first pick in the second round, and they traded to end up getting another pick about 6 picks later in the second round. I don't think Lad falls past the Panthers either. And we've seen that, like you said, the T. Higgins go at the first pick in the second round, and guys like that. That's a valuable spot. It's basically an extension of the first round.
Michael Pittman, I think the pick after T. Higgins, if I remember right, or in that same neighborhood. But yeah, these early second round picks are great for wide receivers.
We got a question here. Wanted to get this in from Andrew. Thanks for watching, Andrew. Is Marvin Harrison Jr. over Malik Neighbors plus Rome Odunze? Thinking about making a trade down proposal. Not sure how to even the deal. So we can answer that in 2 ways about how to even the deal, because I don't think it's fair. It's probably an overvalue of Marvin Harrison because we've got some really elite talents in Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze. And I was thinking about something similar to this, but later in the draft, because I recently did a trade to acquire Malik Neighbors, but I was giving up some of these picks in the range that we're in right now, where I was giving up a 112, a 201, and a 202 for Malik Neighbors, and that's a lot. That was me giving up 3 pieces for that, and sometimes I get a little crazy, but these, like you just said, these are guys in this range that could be first rounders, and so that means these back into first rounders being pushed by Malik Neighbors and Odunze, who these guys are elite. And as much as I believe in Marvin Harrison Jr., think about the points per game that you're getting from some of the top guys that went this range before, like Jamar Chase. This last season, Jamar Chase only had 16 points per game. As much as we love Jamar Chase, and he could still be the wide receiver 1 in Dynasty, I still believe that's a possibility. I don't have him there, but point is, that's a guy who, for the circumstance, isn't producing what it would be worth if you were to trade all of that to get him. And not saying he's Jamar Chase, but if Marvin Harrison isn't Jamar Chase and he could have that type of a lower floor than we might expect, then it's kind of an overpay to get that from Marvin Harrison Jr. You're going to be insulated from a lot going wrong with Marvin Harrison, and he's projected to go maybe to the Cardinals, so it's a good situation. But Burrow's with Jamar Chase. That's basically best case scenario, and so now you're looking at, okay, he needs to just perform as CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson did and get those 20 points plus per game. And even if they do that, I still see there's a scenario where Malik Neighbors does that because he's so explosive. And you can see Rome Odunze being a PPR monster. He could be a Mike Evans, even a touchdown type guy. So that's way too much for me to pay. And to even that out, we're essentially dealing with first round picks. Draft picks. So maybe there's, if the person who has MHJ has the 201 or the 202, because they're in that range, then 1-2 and 2-2 plus maybe 3-2 for Malik Neighbors and Odunze, I don't know. Does that even it out? Because I still think if you're giving up the Marvin Harrison Jr., knowing that's the more highly valued asset, you want to still be getting something in return. You don't want to just get the Marvin Harrison piece for those two guys, giving up the maybe 103 or, let's say maybe in his league, they're higher on the quarterback. So it could actually be the 105 and the 106 for the 102. In that range, I probably don't just want the 202 on top. I might want a little more. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would definitely, if you can somehow pull off Neighbors and Odunze. The problem is you're going to have like the next pick, or like you're going to have 2 top 6 picks probably for the 102. Sorry, I'm going to mute myself.
No problem. And I had it wrong. He was saying trading down. So yeah, he is the one trying to get those Neighbors in Odunze. So he would have Marvin Harrison at 102. So maybe he would have to be the one to give up. In that case, I'm trying to give up as little as possible.
Yeah.
So I would definitely try this deal and maybe give a third.
I mean, if I have the 102 and somebody's trying to come up to the 102 and they're offering me like the 103, like, so I for sure get Malik Neighbors and the 110. So I for sure probably get one of Brian Thomas Jr. Adonai Mitchell. I'd probably do that, to be honest with you.
That'll give you
I think Neighbors is pretty, like, Marvin Harrison Jr. is sweet, but Neighbors is also unbelievable. And some people that I really like, John Lobb has him as his wide receiver 1, Malik Neighbors. I mean, it's clearing away Marvin Harrison Jr. wide receiver 1 for me. But Malik Neighbors is amazing. Like, he's good too. So like if you can somehow swing Rome Odunze and Malik Neighbors, that is a move you make all day long.
Yeah, he says, appreciate it, fellas. Was thinking Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ayuk, or Pittman for Neighbors and Odunze. So MHJ and Ayuk for Neighbors and Odunze to even it out, or MHJ and Pittman for Neighbors and Odunze. I mean, those are both good receivers, and it feels almost even. You're just trying to get younger.
Yeah, that's close. I'd probably take, in that scenario, the Marvin Harrison side, because Pittman or Ayuk, I mean, the rumors are that they're going to trade him. I mean, who knows where he ends up ultimately, but I'd say I'd probably prefer Pittman just because he's the alpha receiver there, with a quarterback who I think is going to be good enough as a passer. So yeah, I mean, so in that scenario, I'd probably lean the other way. Give me Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Pittman, or Brandon Ayuk.
Awesome. I hope that helps, Andrew. Yeah, we think it's okay to trade down for Marvin Harrison. Just make sure you're getting the right value for it. There's a lot of good players here, so it's kind of hard to go wrong. I personally would like to see about that Neighbors Odunze versus trading all the way back. But you might be able to get a lot more that could actually help your team and build in some other areas if you are willing to drop down to that second tier of wide receivers. And just to get back into the second round here, you're on the clock. You're shooken up from not getting McConkey. What are you going to do to recover now?
I think I'll take my my RB1 in the class and give me Trey Benson.
Let's go, Trey Benson out of Florida State.
Trey Benson,
back in the league.
Yeah, Trey Benson to me is my RB1 because he has he's 6 foot, 216 pounds with home run hitting speed. There's another running back in this class that's very similar. But Benson's just a little bit more polished to me, and he's like tough in between the tackles as well. So also productive enough in college for my taste with that Florida State team. So yeah, Benson, I have no problem. I'm a little bit higher on the running backs than my partner over at the Dynasty Roundtable, Matt Babich. So I'm interested to see what you do here.
Yeah, when you say all that, then now I'm leaning running back, but I'm sticking with my guy, Troy Franklin. I like Troy Franklin a lot. I love I like these players that are getting just a ton of yards, and they're dependent on a lot. As a new content creator, I looked at film before, but now I'm looking, what I can't really factor in is the level of competition. I haven't figured out how to weigh that properly. If it's not a huge drop down into the Pac-12 versus SEC, but it actually kind of is. It's just such a different defense level that you're going up against. But I just love those big games when Troy Franklin's going up against, the Michael Penix Jr. team and trying to do his thing, or, shutting down the Colorado football team, when they were both 3-0. And it seemed like in those games, I was like, hey, who is this guy? And and he looked really good. And you look at the numbers, 1,300 plus yards, and that's a pretty good indicator for success. The combine knocked him down, but before that, everyone was pretty much in on Troy Franklin. I think it might have even been the non-running, the non-40 that hurt him more, just because it just how it came across. But I'm still gonna follow the numbers a little bit here. Go with what I think is a pretty good talented wide receiver, smaller frame that hasn't stopped the Devonta Smith types. He's no Devonta Smith, but still, I like what Troy Franklin brings to the table. So, are you going running back here?
No, this might be the first pick where you go, really, Seth? This is what you're doing?
Okay.
But I'm going Malachi Corley here.
Okay. Let's scroll down.
So Malachi Corley is
what's his nickname?
His nickname is Deebo Samuel or something like that. So he is unbelievable. I know his ADOT's low, and that's the knock against him is that maybe he doesn't have the most polished route tree out there. But this is a guy he was on Bruce Feldman's freak list, clocked at 23 miles per hour I believe it was 4.3440. He's on record as running.
Oh, yeah, because he didn't go to the combine, but
yep, he did. He did not run at the combine, and just you turn on the tape of Malachi Corley. I mean, I can't think of anybody else but Deebo Samuel. I mean, he's 5'10", about 220, 215, 220. Just a freak. I think some team is going to look at him and just fall in love. And this is like a Kyle Shanahan, Deebo Samuel replacement just waiting to happen. I don't know anything about the 49ers draft capital situation, but it would not shock me at all if the late first round, if they still have their first round pick, Malachi Corley's sitting there for him.
Yeah.
It just makes too much sense because Kyle Shanahan loves those kinds of guys, those yak guys, and that's exactly what he is.
The Yak King, according to him, behind Malik Washington. So, man, I was not expecting that. I love that pick. I am going to go with Jonathan Brooks, but quickly, I absolutely love that Malachi Corley pick. I think those rushing type wide receivers have a lot more touchdown upside too, because they're not always just going to feed it to CMC, and if you don't have a rushing quarterback, then it definitely helps there. But with Jonathan Brooks, had some really good metrics from Texas, limited sample size with him being behind some really good players over the past couple seasons in Bijan and those boys. So he had one chance to make it count, and he really had a limited chance when he went down to injury. But you could see the drop off from Texas. I'm here in Austin. You saw the drop off in that play when he was off of that offense, and he was a kind of a player coach in the locker room as far as just the respect he had from the team. I think that stuff goes a long way, especially with the running back position being able to get higher draft capital. You need a little bit more than just to be able to be a running back, and I think that can help him with the landing spot. The fact that he's even in the draft conversation is because he's got more than kind of meets the eye there, but he does have those numbers, like what he can bring to the table. And at some point, you got to take these backs, and I have seen a lot of these mocks to the Dallas Cowboys. The last episode I did, he went to the Dallas Cowboys for the CBS Sports mock. So I like the opportunity he's got here with whatever team he has. It's going to be a slow burn. You're going to have to wait a little bit for him to ramp up. I can be patient, but it is a tough pick because there's still a lot of receivers that folks might prefer. So who do you got here with the 5th pick in the 2nd round?
Give me the other running back, and I like the Jonathan Brooks pick.
Does his name start with J?
It does start with J. Jalen Wright from Tennessee. My comp for him this whole process, and it is not Kenneth Walker, but Kenneth Walker light. Because when you watch him play, he has that home run hitting ability with the speed, and he proved that he can add weight and not lose any of the speed, which is kind of terrifying to somebody who probably is going to be looking to tackle him. So I don't know, man. I think he improved. He's got some work to do as a pass catcher for sure, but just as a pure runner, there's a lot of similarities to me to Kenneth Walker. But Kenneth Walker, and he's not in that same category yet because Kenneth Walker had one of the most unbelievable college seasons there, at Michigan State that I've ever seen. It was just just go look at the college dominator rating. It's unbelievable. So.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker is why I really took a closer look at Jahmyr Gibbs, even though they're not the same player, but those 1-year transfers who just get that opportunity to go off. Like I was really like, okay, I didn't know that it was just that likely. You know, I'm still getting used to the transfer portal era, and yeah, Walker went off in that season. And yeah, I had a feeling you were going to go right. And underdog, this guy is just, I can barely get Jalen Wright. Like he's just flying up and up the board. I'm gonna go with a quarterback that I think will go pretty early. That I would think this is probably something that we've been sleeping on. If this was a real draft and Bo Nix did go in the first round, I think he'd go a little bit higher, probably ahead of some of these running backs. But yeah, you know, this is someone who's a late, I don't know if breakout's the word since he had a couple seasons there, but overall, he seems to have a lot of the tools you need and to just get the job done as a quarterback, and I think he'll have a role. So I mentioned earlier the rushing's not there, but I'll still take a pocket passer who can get the ball to some guys over there. If it is Denver, I don't like the landing spot. It's probably not going to be Denver. There's too many quarterback needy teams. We'll see. Maybe he doesn't have the talent to go that high anyway. Still, I was watching him and Troy Franklin together, and I thought they had a pretty good connection. He was getting the ball where it needed to accurately. So I'm good with Bo Nix here. Who do you got with the 207?
I'm gonna go running back again and take I'm getting all of my top running backs here. I'll go Blake Corum, man. Blake Corum.
Nice.
If you watch Michigan football, you know that Blake Corum was the heart and soul of that offense, and everything was predicated on the run. And to me, this is more of an old school player. He can run extremely well in between the tackles. Great vision, great cutting ability. Struggled a little bit outside of the tackles. Good enough pass catcher. I mean, I think he's just a fine, like basically lock and loaded day 2 pick. Like you talk about insulated players. I think this guy's about as insulated as it comes. I think he's a round 3 pick, and we all know the Chargers need a running back, and we all know Jim Harbaugh. You know, right there in Michigan,
305
just makes too much sense, doesn't it? There's these things that just make too much sense because you know the Chargers are going to take a running back. Alex, they only have Gus Edwards right now. Come on,
5th pick in the 3rd round. I think I could definitely see it. I don't see Corum getting past there. Just like with JJ, I mean, championship caliber player. He could be a goal line back if that's all they need him for. He's only 5'7". That doesn't matter for the running backs. This dude's stocky. He's a little bowling ball down there. Showed he was super strong at the combine. So I like what Blake Corum's bringing to the table as well. You think he's going to be much of a pass catcher?
I think he can develop there. I really do.
Okay.
I'd have to bring up. I'm pretty sure I'd have to bring up his counting stats, but on tape,
no problem.
Yeah,
he was he was the highest like PFF rush grade running back in the last 10 years. That's all I need to know, man. Blake Corum's really good. Okay, so it gets a little tougher here. You're eating up all the running backs. I feel like I shouldn't flinch and just go ahead. I may have this out of order in my ranking. I'm gonna take Ricky Pearsall here.
Oh, that's good.
At the 2-8.
That's somebody who's really high in my rankings too.
Yeah. You know, all you got to see is that one-handed catch, and that's the end of the tape. You need to see. No, I like these guys who just seem to be really good at pass catchers, just reliable. Because when you see in the NFL, the guys who are dropping the ball a lot, the opportunities just wane because it's not even just the coaching staff; it's the quarterback themselves that are making these decisions on who to get the ball to. So I think he can be a sure-handed guy that teams and quarterbacks might rely on. We'll see where he gets drafted, but buzz has been up on him. I think I have someone else ahead of him at receiver, but I don't know. I don't trust you, man. You keep taking all my guys. So who do you got here at the 2-9?
I'm thrilled because I'm going to take another Michigan Wolverine and Roman Wilson.
That's exactly who I took him over.
Yeah, Roman Wilson. I know he wasn't productive until his last year. Like he wasn't super productive until his last year, but 700 yards in the Michigan passing offense is really productive to me. And this is just a guy who had a great Senior Bowl, did what he needed to do at the combine. The on-field drills were average, but when you put on the tape of Roman Wilson, it's a guy who at times does struggle against bigger, more physical corners, but he can get open and he can run just about any type of route you want him to run. And he reminds me just play style of Jaden Reed. I think he's this year's Jaden Reed, which a lot's going to depend on the landing spot as well. But again, I mean, who knows? I mean, Jim Harbaugh needs some wide receivers now that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are out of town. So it could just be, hey guys, why don't I just bring my Michigan Wolverine team to Los Angeles? You know?
Yeah.
This is another guy that if they want to go wide receiver at that 305 pick, and he's there, I mean, that would be a fantastic landing spot. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. But Roman Wilson to me is just a really, really talented, just solid wide receiver. He's just good at about everything. He's kind of like a jack of all trades, a master of none. But he's really good at just about everything you need a wide receiver to be good at.
Yeah. I was hoping that maybe the lower numbers might have let him drop to you. I'm just going to show you. This is so bright. You might have been able to see it, but Roman Wilson right ahead of Ricky Pearsall is where I had him. So I was taking a little bit of a gamble that he would fall to me. I'm going to take Michael Penix Jr. here. I'm starting to get confused who all is a junior or not. There's so many juniors in this class. So this is a guy who's older. It seems like maybe medicals could play into decision for teams, but just with seeing the healthy season, I was just a fan. I can't really know that much, and just seeing him be able to get that deep ball out there to folks, I think he might be able to do that in the NFL. You know, it would be awesome if he had a Tyler Lockett type player that he could throw the ball to. It reminds me of Russell Wilson, who's that's kind of their skill set to just chuck it up, and you rely on that receiver to go get it for you. You're going to need that if you're going to have Michael Penix's play style. He's not going to be running around, and he's going to need some folks to potentially bail him out of some of those throws. But I like guys who will take those attempts in Superflex League. It's hard to imagine him falling out unless there's going to be one of these quarterbacks that are second rounder. So maybe you take him, maybe you don't. If it's in that Will Levis range. Last year I was still taking Levis in the 207 range. So I'll take Michael Penix here just because he's a quarterback.
There you go. I think it's fine value where you got him. Let's see. What am I going to do? I think now it's time to take Keon Coleman. I think now is like the perfect.
Yeah, he was right under Pearsall for me. But I'm still not even confident. I don't know. And I'm sorry. It's just that like the Dallas media that I'm kind of close to, they seem to be really high on him. He's
super raw.
Rounder, so
he's super raw. Like anybody who can just walk, like play basketball at Michigan State and just like, it's nothing. Like, oh yeah, I'll play basketball for Tom Izzo. Like that's not a big deal for me. I know the 40 at the combine hurt him, the 4.6. But I think some NFL team is going to view him as an athlete that they can mold and shape into what they need him to be. And he's still very raw. I have many concerns with Keon Coleman. I had more concerns when he was up in that late first round conversation, early second round conversation. I was very leery there, but if he falls to the back half of the second round, early third round, I think it's a perfect shot to take on a guy with a ton of upside, but super raw.
Yeah. Speaking of a ton of upside and super raw, Xavier Leggett off the board with the 212.
This is the crazy thing about this draft, Alex, is you're getting Xavier Leggett at the 212.
And some of those spots where I said I knew at the time I was making an egregious move by trading all those picks to get a Malik Neighbors type. I still in those drafts have a ton of late second round picks, and I'm thinking, if I'm going to have a million receivers that I'm drafting in the second and third and fourth round, then I want to consolidate on the top end because I can only start so many guys. I understand I can trade some of those other players that hit. But anyway, there is a lot of talent here. And my last guest that I had on kind of broke it down for me for Xavier Leggett and was saying that even though he has that late breakout age, he had a lot of personal issues and things like that that I don't have the full details on. But there's a lot of misfortune he had that kind of led to that. It wasn't just that he couldn't get on the field from talent's sake. And this guy's got great speed and size. I think he was running in the 4.3s. And I mean, it's just another good little dart throw here. And who knows where that might hit. And the team might just take a shot. He's not a DK Metcalf, but just a really big body. Maybe he only has to run a few different routes in the route tree and give him a shot there.
It was kind of crazy because I don't know why people were expecting him. I guess maybe it's because how South Carolina had him listed at 6'3", whatever, 227, and he weighed in at 6. Or I'm like, guys, That's still pretty big for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like I think Justin Jefferson's like 6'2" something. You know, like not that he's Justin Jefferson as a technician at all, but
he's bigger than everyone in the last draft class.
He's big and fast and like can run away from everybody still. Like I for some reason he got dinged because he didn't look like DK Metcalf. I got news for people. A lot of people don't look like DK Metcalf. Like DK Metcalf is just an alien of a human being. So yeah, he's not DK Metcalf, but at the 212, this is fine. We don't need to punish this guy because he doesn't look like DK Metcalf or doesn't, weigh in at the same size as DK Metcalf. He still runs a 4.39. Like it's still, maybe even less. I have to double check, but he ran in the 4.3s.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that speed, 6'1", I'll take it. And he looked good. Some people think it's because Rattler got there. He finally got a chance, but yeah, I had to dive deeper into that, but it sounds like this guy's got some talent and just wasn't able to showcase it. And everyone goes on a little bit of a different path. Like a Brandon Ayuk, he goes through the JUCO route, and it's hard to know if that's going to hit or not. But if the team does the research and they believe in the talent, you never know. Xavier Leggett could end up flying up these boards when it's all said and done. The profile of player, or size wise and what he can do, teams might value him over Roman Wilson just due to what he might be able to do and what they might be able to turn him into.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We got here to start the third round, and again, appreciate you jumping on here. I want to try to move through this.
Yeah, but if we could do rapid fire, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll go Marshawn Lloyd. Love a lot of what he can do.
Yes, sir.
In the third round.
So. Yeah, I think he hasn't gotten a lot of passes because Caleb Williams loves to throw the deep ball, but it seems like he can handle some pass catching work as well. I'm going to go tight end premium Jatavian Sanders, get the last Longhorn I can while I can before you snipe me. Who you got here at the third pick in the third round?
Let me bring up my rankings. I'm going to go Javon Baker.
Nice.
For UCF.
He goes very late in best ball. You can get him with that third to last pick in your draft.
Yeah, and it's
like third to last round.
He was so productive there, and he's another one of these big outside receivers. Like that's fast or fast enough.
Absolutely. I'm going Jalen Polk here.
Best hands in the class.
And he was a leader on the team too. I like the potential for him to maybe be an alpha for a team, but at least I feel like he could be a wide receiver too.
Yeah, he's, to me, those mitts, those hands, like he's got some of the best hands in the class. Just as far as like, he never dropped anything on tape. It's crazy. I will go with this pick, Will Shipley.
Nice.
Running back. He had a great pro day. And if there's anything we like in fantasy football, it's a pass catching running back, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Hopefully you don't snatch mine. I'm going to go with Jalen McMillan. This is one of my favorite guys. I love the talent. He was putting up numbers similar to Dunze when he was healthy a couple seasons ago. But, I like that whole trio that they had there in Washington.
Very good. I'm going to go with my guy, Jermaine Burton from Alabama.
Nice. I like the respect on Burton.
I don't know why. It's hard for me to figure out because this guy played for Alabama. He's productive every single year, even as a freshman. Played for Georgia before he transferred to Alabama. And there were games he just completely took over. Like the first game that pops into my head is the Texas A&M game, where he caught 9 passes, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, and they just couldn't cover him. And I don't know. Like I don't know what I'm missing. Cody doesn't like him. Just throw that out. Cody Carpentier is not a big fan, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing with Jermaine Burton. I love like in the third round. I think I'm just gonna have a ton of Jermaine Burton. I just will.
Yeah. I got Burton right here behind Baker. So
that's about where I've
got him. Killing it for me. Hey, 2 seasons with Alabama as a starter. Come on now, and some Georgia time, guys. Those teams believed in him. I think he's gonna be good. All right, let's see. Oh man, I'm gonna go with the upside of Braylon Allen here. Upside being young and one of the biggest running backs in the class, and just hope the team takes him. I don't like the hands at all, but sometimes vision's okay. But really young and fast, so I like that. Or excuse me, young and big, so I like that from a running back.
Young and big, yep. And Matty Kiwum had an interesting point about Braylon Allen. He's one of the first players to declare for the NFL draft. In fact, he might have been the first. And you just don't do that. And his point was, you just don't do that unless you know that you're going to get drafted pretty high, you know, unless you're like confident, because he could have gone back. Like, he's a young guy. There's nothing wrong with him going back to Wisconsin. So I don't know, man. It's just, we'll see what happens. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but in the third round, that's a fine pick. You know, he's going to need to get better as a pass catcher. He reminded me a lot of AJ Dillon. If you remember AJ Dillon at Boston College, he was kind of another one of these like physical freaks. You know? But I don't think Braylon Allen's nearly as fast as AJ Dillon was, because AJ Dillon, I believe, I'd have to double check. Wasn't he like a 4.4 in the high 4.4s or something? I'd have to double check that, but
yeah, you know, just this, or I should say, about a couple months ago when we were first doing our rookie mocks, or whenever Sleeper first came out, you know, at least a round earlier, Braylon Allen was going. I think mid-second round he was going, and it's probably before people started looking at these receivers, and obviously before the combine and stuff like that. But you know, our guy Theo Grimminger had Braylon Allen as the RB1 in the class, and I heard him recently, you know, just move off that take a little bit. I think he's got Benson as one now. So yeah, it's a big fall, but I don't think anyone's shocked at this point.
Yeah, Theo saw the light. I was trying to tell him, but you know, sometimes at 4.53 for AJ Dillon. By the way, I must have been looking at a pro day or something with the 4.4, but 4.53 with that kind of size is moving. 4.53 at 247 pounds is scary.
It's gonna be hard to stop. Especially with young legs.
So I'm up here. Let me get my. You know what? I'm gonna go back to the wide receiver well, and go Brendan Rice from USC. Nice.
Another son of a Hall of Famer.
Who I would not be shocked, and this is the year 2024 in the NFL, and teams do things to appease quarterbacks. The Bears have the 75th overall pick in the third round. It would not shock me at all if that's Brendan Rice. It would not shock me if they pass up on wide receiver in the first round, and probably the biggest need on their team right now is pass rusher. So let's say they go Jared Verse or Dallas Turner, whichever one they want. They're at 9, or maybe they trade down a little bit and just maybe they draft that Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon, because they could use a center too. I doubt if that happens, because I think they're going to draft an edge rusher or defensive tackle with that pick. But in the third round, man, Caleb Williams' teammate, Brendan Rice, he's sitting there. If you like him, why not?
You know? Guess what? We've been seeing these quarterbacks select their guys, get their teammate from college. It's been happening more and more, a lot. It's been
happened last year. It wasn't a teammate, but CJ Stroud was apparently pounding the table for Tank Dell.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I could definitely see that. And if anything, just a big body, a big target for a rookie receiver, you know. All right, I'm going to go with my guy, Malik Washington.
There you go.
And this guy has got the most yak in the class. 5 years in college, actually graduated from his first school and ended up getting his master's at his second. So guy's smart, and he can play. So I was really impressed by the yardage he put up. Has some good grades all around. And, I think he's not going to ever be a wide receiver 1, but somebody probably is in a wide receiver 3 role. He's not super tall either. So, but he could definitely be a contributor on offense, top 3 in three wide receiver sets. So he'll get an opportunity. Just depends on where the landing spot is. But I didn't want to get sniped on him, so I went ahead and grabbed him here. Who do you got with the next pick?
It might be, just because he fell here, but Devontae Walker. I'll go ahead and take him. He is another one of these. Another one of these fast outside bigger receivers, and the biggest issue I have with him, sometimes he gets a case of the dropsies. But there's a lot to like with Devontae Walker. There's no question about it. He's got a lot of raw talent. So, and you go right away with Ben Sinnott from Kansas State. Yeah,
I liked his. For me, it has been between him and like Cade Stover, but Ben Sinnott has been getting deeper passes down the field, about 10 yards deeper than Cade Stover. Stover seems to be more of the blocking type. He's got hands, but I just like Ben Sinnott much better.
Yeah, I have Sinnott as tight end 4. And I actually don't have. Cade Stover is actually my tight end 6. So, or no, yeah, tight end 6.
You don't have to go tight end with this next pick, though. Just letting you know.
I'm not. I don't think I'm going to. Give me the what fell here.
A lot.
There's a lot here in the 4th round.
I think so.
Give me the pass catching running back. Bucky Irving. I know he had not a good combine. He's to a lot of people. He's slower and he's not as big as we'd like to see for that speed. But he caught a lot of passes in college. So, and you go right away with Estime, and I loved Estime before the combine. So I'm interested to hear from you. Like 4.7.
It's a death knell. It is a death knell, but in the 4th round, I'm just taking shots on running back, to be honest. But he did have the highest, like one of the highest PFF rushing grades from a running back. You can just lean on that, hope that he gets in a situation where he can get some goal line work. It's going to be rough. I'm not sure if I am confident enough to do it in real drafts because the time was so slow. So that's just not good. But he had some really good metrics. I remember putting a Twitter post out about him. I don't remember the stat right now, but anyway, we're trying to rapid fire this. Who do you got next?
I'll stick with running back. Give me Ray Davis from Kentucky.
Ray Davis.
We're cleaning up running backs in the 4th round, but another Notre Dame running back.
He's a bowling ball.
Another Notre Dame running back that ran slow at the NFL Combine was Kyron Williams.
Ooh, so we're expecting Estime to go in the 5th round then, and then break out in year 2.
There you go.
Nice. So just sit on that Estime.
I love Estime. I'm not afraid to draft him in the 4th round. Like I'm perfectly fine with that.
Oh yeah,
like he on tape. I love his tape. Like he's big. Like he's got some breakaway speed. Like it might not have shown up at the combine, but like I think he's faster than that 4.7. But
yeah, I've got in the last 10 years of draft eligible players, Blake Corum and Audric Estime are top 5 in PFF run grades, minimum of 10 rushes per game. So it's Blake Corum number 1, only a decimal point ahead of Bijan Robinson, and then Javonte Williams, Audric Estime, and Zach Charbonnet in the top 5. So kind of just going off of, what has this guy shown us? He's shown us he can play. So,
boom.
Combine, be danged. All right. So, it's my pick. I'm going to go with Theo Johnson.
There you go.
The Raz breaking tight end, and just hope that him being athletic pans out. Basing it off of that.
I love Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson's my tight end 3 in this class. I think there's a lot to work with. He's really raw, but I think if he puts it together, I think he's a better blocker than people give him credit for. And he's big and he's fast. And I think that Penn State offense did him no favors. So I like a lot of what I see from Theo Johnson. I'm going to take Spencer Rattler. I'm just going to do it.
Yep, that's what I was debating between.
Yeah, so I'll take Spencer Rattler here. I know some people like to poo-poo this because he was kind of a jerk in that QB. Whoever his I don't know if you're allowed to have an agent in high school, but that was not a good career move for him at that point.
You're too young to be on that show.
Yeah, he came across. Yeah, so, but I just want to remind people that he had his job taken at Oklahoma by the person who's going to be the number 1 pick in this draft. And there's a lot of quarterbacks. There's a lot of quarterbacks who would have lost that battle. So Spencer Rattler has something to prove. It may not be anything, but in the 4th round, I will be taking some Spencer Rattler if he's there. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think he's projected no later than the 3rd round. Who knows if that happens? If it's the 2nd round, this is definitely a smash pick. So, good arm talent. That's not in question, really. So, and if we think he's over to the decision making, which I believe he won Senior Bowl MVP, and regardless, it's a good little stab here in Superflex. So for me, it's getting a little bit deeper, but I'm going to just go with a little bit of another like Raz guy, a little Raz all-star in Isaac Guerrero. Just a running back that showed some really good speed at a really big body size for the running back spot. So if he can just either get coached up or get into an offense where he's an injury away, then maybe he can do something for our rosters. He spent a lot of time as a backup, I think, until his final year, pretty much. behind someone who might not even get drafted in this draft. So we'll see. But I like the athleticism. So he's trying to just stick with the running back theme here.
Very good. Very good. There's another. Let's see. Let me take a look here. So many guys that I think are worthy to be drafted, but I'm just gonna stick with a guy that I really like and who I just think he could be special, or more special than people think. And Dylan Lobby.
Yeah, it's a good one.
From New Hampshire.
Isn't he like the best pass catcher?
His tape. I know he was playing at New Hampshire, but he would have made it onto some D1 school. Like, he's just, look at Dylan Lobby highlights, and it's not that that's all I looked at, because you're not supposed to look at all the highlights. I understand, but there's a lot of them out there, especially and he can return punts, and he can be a contributor on special teams, which is going to get him on the field quick. So I think he's going to have an opportunity somewhere. Yeah. And I think he's shifty and a good pass catcher, and exactly the kind of running back that I think NFL teams are going to be looking for. Like, him and Will Shipley, I think, are extremely interesting in this draft, especially for fantasy. So those are two to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I like the pick. When you were mentioning Shipley earlier from the pass catching standpoint, I was thinking at the time, all right, I can't let him get me on Dylan Law, but you got me. So I'm going to go with a running back again in Isaiah Davis. And he had, all green RAS score, physical running back, extremely patient runner, got some good pass protection, which might get him on the field for some of these teams. And he got some production at the collegiate level. So just going to roll with that here in the 4-8 spot. Who do you got at the 4-9?
I don't know quite what to do with this player, but I'm intrigued enough to take him here, and that's Johnny Wilson from Florida State.
Nice. Yep.
Big guy. Looks more like a tight end than a wide receiver, but I think we'll see what happens with him. I mean, really kind of a similar player to Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool might be faster, but just a big physical receiver. So
yeah, and we're closing in on the end here. I have Jamari Thrash ranked here currently. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I'm going to go ahead and take him off the board. What have I got here for the notes on him? So Thrash, I'm pretty high. I got him at 42, it looks like. I don't know how I feel about that one, but yeah, quick separator after the catch ability, strong technical route running skills, comfortable tracking the ball down vertically. So just a shot here. Probably just rather keep going running back, if I'm being honest. But who do you got here at the 411?
Yeah, with my last pick, it's still a lot of good options. I mean, even if we were going 5 rounds, but we've been going 2.5 hours here. Kamani Vidal is my pick from Troy.
Nice.
Not much of a pass catcher, so he's not the Dylan Lobb, the Will Shipley type, but man, he can run well in between the tackles, outside the tackles. Really good runner. So
with the final pick, should I go son of McCaffrey or son of Gore?
So it just depends on your flavor. I like both of those players quite a bit. This is why, it's just like I have other players ranked ahead of them, but I just think it's a testament to his class.
Just gonna stick with the running back.
If he's anything like his dad, he'll be in the league for like 20 years.
Yeah, man. It's a deep class. I've only done the 4 rounders for guests because they do end up going long when we're breaking them all down. Most of my videos I've done 5 rounds if people want to check those out. And we're going to have plenty more mock drafts to come in the future. So Seth, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Hey, absolutely best of luck in your drafts coming forward. Hopefully you get that team turned around. And hey, we got a lot more content for you guys coming up with Player Profiler. We've got mock drafts on Mondays. We've got shows every morning and pretty much every afternoon. So whatever you're looking for, Dynasty, redraft, best ball, we've got you covered there. Seth, let us know where the people can find you at one more time before we close this out.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Seth_DIEWOLD or Diewold. And I know some people at Player Profiler still don't know how to say my name, but it's okay because I love them. They're great people. It's gotten butchered more ways than anything. Joking around with Maddie. The funniest butcher of my name. I was a baseball player in college, or not college, high school. I was never cool enough to play in college. baseball player in high school, and the press box announcer, who clearly did not do his homework or ask me how I pronounce my name, said, "And now batting, third baseman, Seth." And there's a pause. There's always a pause because he doesn't
say
Seth Diewold. And then you're like, the whole dugout's like, did he just say Diewold? Where did the R come from? I can understand the die, right? The D.
Yeah.
But so yeah, you can find me at there on Twitter at Seth_Diewold, not Dieworld. And then you can find me on YouTube as well. I have my own YouTube channel. That's probably the best thing to do. And same things for Alex, is like, it means so much to us, especially when we're getting started, just to see people subscribing to the channel. So if you saw anything tonight that you were like, wow, this is really cool, I want to see more of this, or if you just say, Alex seems like he's a pretty passionate guy about fantasy football and I want to help him out, it's a free thing to do. Subscribe to the channel, just click that button, like the video. That helps us out so much as we're trying to grow and make this passion a reality that we do, every day. In my case, that I do it, I'm lucky enough that I am able to do this, mostly full time. It's probably like 70-80% full time, with just
awesome
working elsewhere just a little bit, but the goal is to be full time in content creation this year, and I can't do I couldn't do that without the people subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking the content and commenting on the videos. Even if you disagree, I don't care. I love a good disagreement. So It doesn't matter to me. It's just what matters the most is knowing that, and what keeps us going as far as like inspiration goes, is knowing that people are enjoying what we're doing and that they like it enough to subscribe and like. And that's the best way. Like I said, Memphis Young says it all the time. It doesn't mean, you might not think it means a lot, but it means so much to guys like us, especially when and I know I've been in Alex's shoes before, just starting a YouTube channel, and mine's still pretty much in its infancy. Like, seeing those subscriber counts go up gets the juices, gets me excited. It's like, oh, good, like I'm on the right track here, or a comment or a thoughtful comment can really help out too. So any of it and all of it, it just means so much to me. And I thank everybody who has subscribed to my YouTube channel already or followed me on Twitter. Just means the world. So thank you to everybody who supported me so far, and we're going to get there. So, and Alex too, because Alex is a good one. So like this video, subscribe. If you stuck with us for the marathon, 2 hours, 40 minutes, we can talk all day about this stuff. So appreciate you having me on, man.
No, absolutely. Thank you for coming on the show. And we absolutely just barely scratched the surface. And the best thing is it's always changing. So there's more reasons to check back in with us. And we are here for you. We love this. We love it so much that we're not even worried about our own teams anymore. I don't care if you snipe my picks. It doesn't matter. We're here to help you guys win your league. So there's always a full crew and staff of just folks completely dedicated to this. So please come check us out at PlayerProfiler. Check me out here at Dynasty Football Key. And you can get me on Twitter at Dynasty F Key. And jump into the Discord, talk with me offline. Happy to help out with any trade ideas that you want to go over, and roster reviews, stuff like that. So really, again, appreciate everyone for listening. And for us, that's going to do it for tonight. And hope to see you in the next video. See ya.